Making news now. The shooting in Carbondale leaves a victim clinging to life. An SIUC student is shot while driving and is killed. And a man has been charged in the kidnapping and murder of a handicapped woman. Live from Southern Illinois University, this is River Region Evening Edition. The shooting in Carbondale has left one man with a possible life-threatening injury. Good evening, I'm Zach Barrett.
And I'm Diamond Hayes. Neighbors near the shooting scene are worried because this wasn't the first time. Evening Edition reporter Sydney Kessler has our story.
It's not the first time that it's had been a shooting there. With what all goes on over there all day and night, it's not a very good feeling for us.
Milton McDaniel Sr. lives next door to the America's Best Value Inn on East Main in Carbondale, where late last night, one man was shot.
I've been here since 1978 when we built this home, and we don't intend on moving. We just like to be safe in it.
According to the police, the man arrived at Memorial Hospital clinging to life.
Management says the incident last night happened around 10:30, right there in room 214.
Within striking range of McDaniel's front door.
This is a family home, and it's bad when you can't feel safe in your own family home.
Saying he plans on reinforcing old deals he made with the city.
So I'm going to ask the city now if they will enforce that fence rule that's there and keep them, maybe the people on that side, keep them there, and instead of cutting back and forth across our property. So maybe my grandkids will be able to use the further end of our property here.
But for now,
we're all one city, and we ought to be able to feel safe no matter what part of the city that you live in.
For River Region Evening Edition, I'm Sydney Kessler.
No one has been arrested, and Carbondale police are still trying to find out who did the shooting.
An SIU Edwardsville freshman was shot and killed in St. Louis. The shooting happened Monday as 18-year-old Kerry Taggart of Chicago was driving with two passengers in his car. Kerry crashed the car after he was shot, and 19-year-old passenger was also shot and injured. Kerry died at the scene while his passenger was hospitalized. The third person in the car was not injured, and St. Louis police have not released information about a motive for the shootings.
Severe budget cuts will be discussed at the SIU Board of Trustees meeting tomorrow in Carbondale. SIU President Randy Dunn is requesting $30 million in cuts on the Carbondale campus. The cuts will include campus work opportunities for students and the library. Another area of concern that will be up for discussion will be the repayment of loans that SIUC has used during the state's budget impasse. Administrators say large cuts will undoubtedly lead to layoffs. The meeting is scheduled to begin at 10 a.m.
Local elections took place across the state and in Southern Illinois yesterday. 3 people were elected to the Carbondale City Council. That was Jeff Doherty, Jessica Bradshaw, and Carolyn Harvey. William Stevens ran unopposed for mayor of Murfreesboro, and incumbent Bradley Robinson defeated challenger John Frost for mayor of Carterville. Voters
in Franklin County voted against a sales tax increase. The revenue was intended for construction of a new county courthouse, but the measure was defeated with 63% of votes against the tax increase. So the weather was really moody today. It was rainy and then beautiful. It was a little weird.
No, it's been so bipolar. I'm walking into the studio today. I'm getting hit with raindrops. Devin Fleckinger is in to tell us if that's going to continue.
That's right. Tonight's going to be 56 degrees. We are still going to experience some rain on and off, so keep your umbrella near. By morning, it'll be 43 degrees, still cloudy, and by midday, it'll warm up to 53 degrees and still have some clouds. We could see more showers and possible thunderstorms, and we could see a warm-up during the weekend. I'll have more for you later in the forecast.
An Indiana man faces charges of killing a disabled woman. 24-year-old Terrence Wayne Roach was arrested on Friday. Roach was charged with the murder, kidnapping, abuse of a corpse, and criminal confinement of 19-year-old Aaliyah Beckerl. Beckerl, who was nonverbal and wheelchair-bound, went missing last July. Her remains were found March 27th in an abandoned house. Roach was in front of a judge earlier today.
6 people were injured after a semi-truck crashed into the back of an SUV near Grayville, Illinois. 51-year-old Sheila Dunn was driving westbound along Interstate 64 in Washington County when her SUV was suddenly struck from behind by a semi-truck being driven by 67-year-old William McClure. Dunn, as well as all of the passengers in her vehicle, were later transported to a local hospital with minor injuries.
More disturbing details are emerging after a second teenager was arrested in the sexual assault of a 15-year-old girl. The attack was streamed on Facebook Live, and the second teenager is charged with aggravated criminal sexual assault, manufacturing child porn, and distributing porn.
Sometimes they just go to counsel, go to therapy because, they're breaking down, but she's going to be talking with the investigators on the case and try to identify the other perpetrators.
A juvenile court judge refused a request to release the teen, calling the crime one of the most serious she has ever seen.
The Pope is commenting on Chicago violence. Pope Francis wrote a letter to Chicago Cardinal Blas Supich, saying he's praying for the city's victims of violence. Supich announced the Chicago Archdiocese' new initiative to fight violence in the city. Pope Francis shared his grief and praise for the city and its residents. The Archdiocese will be hosting an anti-violence event called Walk for Peace next week on Good Friday. That'll take place in the city's Englewood neighborhood. And an Illinois veteran is looking forward to reclaiming his long-lost war medal. Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frericks will be returning a Purple Heart medal to Harold J. Walker. The medal is one of several that belonged to Walker that ended up as unclaimed property in Illinois. Walker lived in Illinois when he was drafted to fight in the conflict in Vietnam and now lives in Mississippi.
An old warship is getting ready to hit the water once again after 2 years of repairs.
And world leaders are outraged at attacks that have been taking place in Syria.
There are new developments in the attack in a rebel-held portion of Syria that has left at least 72 people dead, including at least 10 children. The Russian Defense Ministry claimed on its Facebook page that the deaths were caused by a Syrian government airstrike on a terrorist ammunition depot. At least 10 children died in the attack, and dozens more were treated for symptoms of chemical poisoning, including foaming at the mouth and suffocation.
All the evidence I have seen suggests that this was the Assad regime who did it in the full knowledge that they were using illegal weapons in a barbaric attack on their own people.
Syria denies the accusations, and Russia claims that it had no warplanes in the area. If the incident is confirmed to be a chemical attack, it would be one of the deadliest of its kind since the Syrian civil war began 6 years ago.
And international leaders are not the only ones condemning the attack that occurred in Syria. Some right here in the United States, including President Donald Trump, have called the attack reprehensible and heinous. However, Senator Tim Kaine sees this attack as something else.
We need to call out this as a war crime. That's what these atrocities by Bashar al-Assad are. We should be prosecuting them, trying to prosecute them in The Hague for war crimes.
The United Nations Secretary Council met earlier today in order to discuss what should be done in response to the attack.
Elsewhere in Washington, D.C., Donald Trump has welcomed the King of Jordan in the first meeting between the two men. Trump was expected to table an offer that would exchange Palestinian statehood for recognition of Israel. However, another issue quickly took center stage.
Yesterday, a chemical attack that was so horrific in Syria against innocent people, including women, small children, and even beautiful little babies. Their deaths was an affront to humanity.
Both Trump and King Abdullah II condemned the attack and called on other nations to do so as well.
There are signs U.S. patience has run out with North Korea missile launches. The latest launch of a Scud missile ended with a fiery crash into the Sea of Japan after traveling 37 miles. It happened just days before a crucial first meeting between the leaders of the U.S. and China. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson indicated that it was time to quit just talking about North Korea. He said the United States has spoken enough about North Korea, saying, "We have no further comment."
In what can only be described as a surprising decision, President Trump has removed Steve Bannon from the National Security Council. Bannon, who is Trump's chief political strategist, was named to the NSC in a controversial decision made shortly after the inauguration of Trump. A senior White House official said that Bannon was replaced on the NSC in order to ensure that Trump's vision to downsize and streamline was carried out.
British negotiators will have a harder time in negotiations with the European Union as EU lawmakers passed a resolution calling for phased negotiations. The British government had hoped that future trade arrangements could be negotiated at the same time as exit negotiation plans were taking place. EU lawmakers voted 516 to 133 to pass the resolution calling for phased withdrawal talks. Brexit talks are expected to start in late May once the negotiating guidelines of the 27 member nations of the EU have been agreed upon.
The oldest commissioned warship in the United States Navy is nearly ready to head back into the water. The USS Constitution is finishing up a 2-year stint in dry dock and will be returning to the water in late July. Nearly 100 white oak planks were replaced during the latest dry dock stint, which the ship goes through every 20 years. The public will have limited access to Old Ironsides, as the ship is nicknamed, until September, when the repairs are finally complete.
If you were waiting for the other side of the Barack Obama and Joe Biden bromance, well, wait no longer. Former Vice President Joe Biden and his wife Jill have agreed to deals with Flatiron Books. Joe Biden's deal will be for 2 books, while Jill Biden's deal is only for 1. Joe Biden's first book has no title yet, and no release date has been announced.
With the onset of mosquito season comes the fear of the reappearance of the Zika virus. However, researchers may have something to say about that.
Researchers are one step closer to developing a vaccine for the Zika virus. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases has shown success in early trials of a DNA vaccine candidate, and volunteers across the Americas are signing up to help with the next phase. 11 clinics are participating, including locations in Miami, Puerto Rico, Brazil, and Mexico. 90 healthy adults will be divided into groups and receive different doses of the vaccine, testing its safety. Researchers will then conduct a randomized control trial using either the vaccine or a placebo on 2,400 people who were not infected but who live in areas where Zika has been transmitted. The biggest question for researchers now is funding. The trial is fully funded through this phase, but money for the next phase is still up in the air. The Trump administration has proposed an 18% cut to the budget of the National Institutes of Health, and it's unclear at this point how that cut will affect the trial if it's approved by Congress. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
With the storms today, what does the future hold? We'll find out next.
And the Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P 500 all finished down today. Find out more on the Nightly Business Report tonight at 5:30.
Michael, it was a chilly day today, but will that continue into the weekend?
And one famous reality star is facing backlash after starring in a controversial commercial.
Here are some of the stories making news in the days ahead. Tomorrow is a very important day for SIU as steps are taken to cut a massive $30 million from the Carbondale campus budget. Men put on high heels for a Walk a Mile in Her Shoes fundraiser, and we'll take something from SIU's Sustainable Garden to cook a dish on our Healthy Eating segment. Join us Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock for River Region Evening Edition.
Pepsi has decided to pull their controversial commercial due to negative backlash. The commercial features Kendall Jenner joining in on a protest. She then hands a police officer a Pepsi as a symbolic peace offering, resulting in a celebration. However, that was not received well by many people, claiming it to be insensitive to the political and racial climate. In a statement issued today, Pepsi apologized, saying they clearly missed their mark. They also apologized to Kendall Jenner, because I guess she needs an apology. It's not like she didn't know what she was doing.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut on that one.
That's probably for the best.
We'll send it to Devin with the weather. What can we see this weekend?
That's right. Tomorrow it's going to be 57, but it's going to be warmer. The sun's going to come out at 59 for Friday, Saturday 69, Sunday even warmer at 75 degrees, and then Monday is going to be 71 degrees with a few showers in the morning.
So we're going to have a little better weather than we've been having lately.
Definitely, yes. The weekend is looking a little drier.
Which is awesome because we do have the football game coming up this Saturday, 2 p.m. So it's going to be ready for some football, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the
looking
rain
forward to
moves
it.
out and the fun moves in.
That's right, yep.
Thank you, Devin. And thank you for joining us tonight. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at River Region News. Our webpage is riverregionnews.wordpress.com. I'm Diamond Hayes.
And I'm Zach Barrett. For Devin Fleckinger, Michael Nelson, and everyone who works on River Region, have a great night.